Welcome back, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, March the 16th, and we are on episode 6 of the Texas NORML podcast. Thanks for joining us. Before we go any farther, I do want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Focus Lens Media, who is our major sponsor for season 1. They're providing professional video services at affordable prices. So please go check them out on all the social media. They're on Facebook, they're on YouTube. Go give them some likes, shares, follows, all of that sort of thing. And while you're out there in the social media world, go ahead and do the same for us. Like, share, follow TX NORML Pod. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. While I'm on this topic, if you have any questions or any comments or ideas for us, please, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at podcast@texasnormal.org. We've covered before that 86% of Texans want medical cannabis. And as we know, cannabis can be beneficial for patients suffering from a number of ailments: chronic pain, seizures, muscle spasticity, speech conditions. The list goes on and on. Cerebral palsy patients can suffer from all of these conditions at the same time. Currently, there's only one state in our nation that sees cerebral palsy as a qualifying condition for medical cannabis. 1 year ago, in March of 2019, Michigan became that first state to recognize cerebral palsy as a qualifying condition for cannabis. Now, we know that cannabis treats all of those symptoms that I just mentioned. So why isn't this a policy across the board with all the medical states? There's over 200,000 new cerebral palsy cases in the United States every single year. This is a very serious issue to me because one of my best friends in the entire world has this condition. We are joined today with one of our advisors to the Texas NORML board, Brandon Collinsworth. How are you, brother?
Hey, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here today. So, B, describe your role in patient outreach for Texas NORML.
My role there is just to try to be a voice for the patients in this state. As we all know, this has been an uphill battle to get even as far as we have with the medical plan here through TCUP and whatnot. But for me, it was taking my voice and letting it be heard for the other patients. As you said, cerebral palsy is the number one mobility disability of children in the world, and U.S. being the leading country for that. We need more as patients grow up and become adults. There's not a lot there for them. So for me, it's to get my voice out there, to be a voice for those patients that can't be there and can't do it for themselves, and to get this moving in a positive direction. I've watched other states that have done large comprehensive medical bills and seen the impact that patients have in that and getting those bills passed. And that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to reach out and get in touch with more patients across the state and allow them to know that there's an outlet to be heard to their representatives. So that's the biggest thing for me is being a voice for the people.
That's fantastic. What caused you? So you kind of hit the ground running. You know what I mean? You in the past couple of years, you've taken on some monumental speaking engagements. You've been at the Capitol lobbying during the legislative session. What caused you to take that next level of activism? And then also on top of that, what have you learned, and what has been the most fulfilling on your ride so far?
I'm gonna kind of take it in reverse, because most fulfilling is seeing the knowledge transfer, to actually know that you're talking to these people and getting through to them. Like, they can read all the clinical trials, they can see all the things, but hearing an individual story, it resonates. It goes further, obviously, For me, what was the first part of your question? I got sidetracked.
The first part of my question is, what caused you to take this next level of activism? And then what have you learned, and what was the most fulfilling? You just answered the fulfilling part.
Yeah. Definitely, being friends with you. I mean, we've known each other for 20 years. And so that, being around you and watching your growth as an activist.
I can be quite unreasonable at times.
Yeah, absolutely. But seeing your growth as an activist, from the very beginning through what you do today, It was motivational, and you obviously, pushed me, extensively to be involved. You saw my energy there before I did, to be honest. Um, and it was good. I was scared to death of it to begin with, and like I didn't think it was something I wanted to do. But the first time I did it, I was hooked, and you get that activism feel, and it's undescribable unless you do it. Because once you do it, it matters. You see that your voice matters, and that's a really awesome experience. From the first time I spoke um, at Texas NORML meeting, first Wednesday of every month, Flamingo Cantina, come on out.
515 East 6th Street.
Perfect. Um, Always welcome. Uh, from the first time I spoke there and saw the engagement I got from others when I was done was bigger than I ever anticipated. Like I genuinely thought I would do it and be done, move on, and it'd be a one-off. But then when you see other people's reactions, you see the importance of it, and it went tenfold the first time I went to the Capitol. When you go up there and you speak to your representatives and their staffers, you honestly see how the wheels of democracy work, and we are a big part of that. You don't think you are. You kind of look at it and you think, oh, you see it on the news and you see the, things that happen. But we are the grease for those cogs, man. We make the things move. And that was the biggest thing, is knowing that going to the Capitol and sitting in on those meetings and going to the votes, that's where you make the difference.
I'm glad you said that, because there's so many people in our society who are the my vote doesn't count group, who think, well, what good does it do for me to go up there and start raising my voice about this, that, and the other, blase, blase, blase. For those of our listeners who don't know Brandon was a part of that crowd for a while, partially because he was in a work environment where he didn't have the freedom of being out of the cannabis closet. And so he went from being that person, well, thanks for going and doing your thing, but I'm not going to go do that. My voice isn't going to be out there, blah, 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 blah. To now he's shouting it from the rooftops. So I'm glad you touched on that, because that's really important.
Absolutely. And everybody has to find what their level of what they can do. But if you care about this, movement, there's a spot for you, whether it's, just communicating with your neighbors, your friends, keeping up with the bills, posting it to social media, making your voice heard in your ways. Now, if that entails coming to the Capitol and standing next to me on patient lobby days, then great. If not, then get in touch through social media, find your outlet. There's ways to make your voice heard, and we need every voice we can get.
I want to touch on that comment you just made, touching on Brandon's growth as an activist. He first started out with saying, talk to your friends, family, this, that, and the other. And then he said, standing with me at the Capitol. Brandon, in one of your first major speeches up in Fort Worth, I remember distinctly you said, just go talk to people. Doesn't have to be anybody important. If you're not comfortable talking to legislators, don't do that. Go talk to your neighbor, go talk to your mother, things like that. And then he actually did go talk to legislators. And was so empowered by that experience and realizing that these are just human beings who sometimes just need direction and education. That's an amazing thing that you just pointed on, because I literally have witnessed you go from one end of that spectrum all the way to the other.
Absolutely.
And anybody can do that if they so choose.
Absolutely, and it was the crux of my first speaking engagement in Fort Worth. Was adamant about never going to the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
It was not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that kind of communicator.
And now we ride together, folks.
And we do. We carpool there. And it's you have to take those steps. Like, each step in the process, will take you where you're meant to be. I still am adamant that you should talk to your friends, your family, anybody you can, get your voice out to the people that you know, and you'll be surprised. You'll learn that people that may not even use, but support it. There's a lot of support in this country for it by people that don't use. Like, that's a common misconception right now, is that everyone that's supporting it is a user, and that's not the case. Family members that have disabilities and ailments that, benefit from cannabis use. And so being there for those people is very important.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, B, when did you begin to realize that cannabis was helping you actually medicinally? You were actually getting benefit from it, and then also what hurdles have you faced as a patient, as the conversation and the public perception has begun to change around medical cannabis?
Definitely the biggest challenge is the marketplace. I mean, obviously, when you live in a state that doesn't have a comprehensive medical bill, a lot of your time is spent getting products from a black market, and so you don't necessarily have the control over what you're getting. Like, I know there are strains that work better for me and do things that benefit me more than others. Now, can I always get those strains? When you live in a place where that's not always accessible, that's the biggest hurdle. Like right now is finding and constantly getting the medicine that works best for my ailments. I will say probably the last 3 to 4 years has been the biggest jump because I can actually take the time and kind of document and analyze. Okay, these things are working, so that's been the best. But I'd say I've known it for about 10 years, but actually being able to take bits and pieces of it. And then the CBD rise has definitely been good. There's a lot of products there that are really helping with creams and things like that. We're making leaps and bounds on the scientific side of it. It's just now getting through the legal side of it, and that's where involvement gets there.
Absolutely. So you mentioned, Les and I were talking actually earlier this morning about there's if you have anxiety, there's probably a handful of strains that are great for anxiety, but there's 1,000 strains that are terrible for anxiety.
100%.
And I feel like it can be that way for every single condition out there. Yours is no different.
Absolutely.
So you touched on the strains, how there's some that are beneficial and some that aren't. Are there any other products that you see that are available in certain states that maybe not available in other states that you found not only beneficial, but that you want to ensure that any new Texas law will provide?
I would definitely say that we need more whole plant, usage. Like I said, with the CBD thing, we are getting closer because you can get pain salves and things like that work. It's just getting the full marketplace. Like honestly, it's until you have the full spectrum of products, it's really hard to say what we're necessarily missing here.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that anytime I go to a legal state, I do experiment. I'll try, different things. Like this last trip was with tinctures. Like that was the big one when I went up to Colorado this last trip, was trying out tinctures and seeing, how I would react to those. And it's being able to do that, to go out and be able to say, just like you do with like Icy Hot or any other, over the counter medicine, you can try what you want and see, okay, how does this work? Is this helping what I need? But yeah, it's just market. Like when you can have a full spectrum, I can say, all right, well, I need this for this time of day. I need this for this time of day, because the way I feel in the evenings aren't the same as how I feel when I wake up in the morning. There's different aches and pains by 10 p.m. that aren't necessarily there at 10 a.m. So
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the regulations of the legal market in these legal states is that you can go into a store and you can have a conversation with these bud tenders and let them know what your ailments are and what it is you're looking for, and they can pinpoint a handful, a variety of different products for you to try. That 9 out of 10 of them will help you out, usually in my experience anyway.
Yeah, I know. My dad, we sent him up to Oregon because the particular concentrate he wanted was only available in certain medical states.
Yep.
Because they've limited. Some states don't want to do like a Phoenix Tears type thing. And I think at the time California didn't have it, but Oregon did. And Brandon, at the very start of the interview, you brought up something about the teacup program is only for intractable epilepsy. Other state programs are only for certain things. There's almost no states that have autism listed. Only one state has CP. And for me, this is something that it gets into kind of a touchy area sometimes for folks, but full legalization for me is the medical program.
100%.
Otherwise, every 2 years in Texas, we're going to have doctors adding a condition.
Yep.
So either we need it where doctors can prescribe for whatever doctors feel like you might need it for and have it completely open in that direction, or just legalize it and let patients go to an over-the-counter, basically, medicine.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't care how many Hall's cough drops you go and buy and take if they work for you.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things is trying to get our medical community more involved, to get doctors out and speaking. I know we have a couple that speak, every time we have, legislative sessions, we have something come out. We need more of that, because their voice rings louder than probably anybody's at the Capitol.
Yeah,
And
even if they're not wanting to praise it, like even if it's not a doctor coming out there going, everyone needs pot. If it's just a doctor coming out there going, look, the sky's
Get
not
the
going to fall.
science. Yep.
Like, no one's going to die. The sky's not going to fall.
Well, and you're doing some great work with our director of patient outreach, Akila, and if I'm not mistaken, that starting up those conversations with healthcare professionals is something that's on your task list currently. Yeah,
Big time, and we're doing quarterly meetings. You can follow it through our Facebook page, the Texas NORML Patient Outreach page on Facebook. We'll have all those events, but we're definitely wanting to get more outreach, more engagement, so that we can get those doctors and everything up to the Capitol. And I know one of your favorite things is to call this our off season. But it's really not. This is our
work.
season.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is our season, because everything we do today matters towards the legislative session that starts in 2021. This is where we make our inroads with the legislators, with the doctors, with the community, to get that out. So
yeah, we are about 10 months away from the start of that session currently right now. So we still have a lot of work to do, and we're well on our way. So, Brandon, before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you'd like to let our listeners know that you think Texans need to know right now?
Texans need to know that the Teacup program is wildly inadequate. It's only helping less than 1% of patients in this state. We are the largest populous state in the country, and so by that token, you have the most patients that aren't being reached. Every bordering state that we have has a more comprehensive medical plan than we do. And we need to take care of Texans first and foremost. We shouldn't be lagging behind the rest of the country in medical for our patients. It's a real shame. I mean, you consider the number of veterans we have here that could be benefiting from this. I want more outreach. I want you to get engaged. If you have questions, reach out to me through the patients@texasnormal.org. Email address, or through our social media. Really, more than that is, if you have questions, ask. There's plenty of resources out there now to get data, and let's move this forward in 2021.
Absolutely. And like you said, if you have any questions, ask. All of us who sit on the board here at Texas NORML, we love to help and educate and empower others to get involved and use their voice. So if you have any questions as to how to do that, please reach out to us. We would love to help you. Again, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, critiques for us about our show, if you would like to be a guest, or if you have some suggestions for some guests, please reach out to us at podcast@texasnormal.org. Also, please go once again and check out our social medias. Give us likes, shares, follows. TX NORML Pod. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We do have some things coming up. Our next episode is not 2 weeks from now. Our next episode is actually 2 days from now. This coming Wednesday, March 18th, we will be doing a live episode from Flamingo Cantina. So look for us then, and we'll have some fun. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Brandon, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Dave.